What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Saturday afternoon update show. I'm guessing everybody is going to get the link here and get going. I'm going to post the link in chat too. That way we can get this thing going. All right, so I'll answer some questions at the end, but want to talk about tech and everything that happened. Obviously has changed a lot of things. Obviously Daniel Suarez becomes one of the best, if not the best, place differential play on the board now. Starting that far back, if you looked at projections before and you see like his projection, I think he got like a 45-point increase from starting 5th instead of starting like 38th. So you'll see a huge upgrade for him and becomes a cash game, just absolute stone cold lock. Davey Reagan and Regan Smith become great plays as well. You get these three guys, they're going to be super popular, assuming that people pay attention. But at this time of the year, a lot of sharp people playing NASCAR at this point, and I feel like we're not going to see that big of an edge. It is about 4 hours and 15 minutes before lock, so maybe people just don't catch on. That would be fantastic, but we'll have to see how that kind of plays out. Not going to fade to chalk by any means. I think that you didn't see a huge increase on FanDuel in their projections for Regan Smith and David Reagan, but they had plenty of increase. Plenty of increase on DraftKings. So good plays over there on DraftKings. Definitely would play those guys before I'd play Ty Dillon now in cash. Biggest cash question today, and it's going to be something that is very interesting to see how it plays out, is do you play Truex or do you play Clint Boyer? And really don't know where I'm going to go yet. I like both the builds a lot that I was able to build with both of those guys. They're both really sound builds. I really lean towards a second Dominator. Now that we're getting all this place differential from Suarez, I lean the Dominator with Truex. Kyle Busch will be scored from 11th, but will start at the rear. He will not be scored from the rear. So he passed Tech, and with him passing Tech, he will be scored from his original spot and have his pit box, but he will start at the rear. This is a tough track to pass. It's a very slick racetrack. A lot could happen to Kyle driving through the field, so that makes me a little bit more concerned with Kyle. Definitely lowering my Kyle Busch ownership. Still like him on FanDuel because I still think that when it's all said and done, if he doesn't have any issues, he'll finish in the top 5. So I still like him on FanDuel. But on DraftKings, when we take away those potential Dominator points and, starting 11th gives him a little bit of place differential. But if we want a little bit of place differential for a lot less, we could play Joey Logano, who's starting 12th and has the same kind of, place differential upside as Kyle Busch. So with Kyle being so expensive, you're still going to need to put him in your Dominator group when you're building your lineups, because you're still going to need Dominator points from Kyle Busch, whether it be fastest laps or Dominator points. It's going to be really tough for Kyle to get fastest laps in the first stage. He's going to use up a lot of tire trying to get through the field. If it stays green, like I talked about on the preview show, we can run 110 laps here on fuel. And if it stays green, that's definitely going to be a kick in the balls to Kyle. He needs like a caution about 40, 50 laps in, be able to come get tires and, keep doing his thing. So if he doesn't get a caution, I kind of project him to be in the 10 to 15 range by the end of stage 1. If he does get a caution, I think he can move into the top 10. It's not going to be as easy as at other tracks. This track does not have a lot of grip, and it wears down the tires a lot. So It's not the easiest situation for Kyle Busch to get back to the front of the field. So, as far as by the numbers go, for a by the numbers update, let me pull it up really quick. I have all my video stuff up. So, by the numbers update on the guys that I wrote up. Kevin Harvick, still my favorite Dominator play. Clint Boyer, still a fantastic place differential play. I think Suarez is a better cash game play now at cheaper price. Who's starting 13 spots further back. Still really like Boyer. I still think Boyer is really solid for anybody that's curious. Still think he is a very, very good place differential play. I think he still has a fast car. Austin Dillon becomes more of a tournament play now with David Reagan and Regan Smith being better floor plays. And then tournament targets, still like Truex a lot. I think that he will dominate a portion of this race at some point. I think Keselowski is very interesting now as well. He will start on the inside row instead of the outside row, so that should help him on the initial restart. William Byron's still an excellent pivot off of all the chalk. Still like Willie B a lot for tournaments. And Ty actually becomes a nice little contrarian play to David Reagan and Regan Smith now. Those guys are going to be the chalk. And Ty becomes the guy that is actually contrarian. So just looking at it, there's a few different ways you can build tournament lineups and use pivots. Let's see here. Daniel Suarez. We don't have a lot of pivots off of Daniel Suarez, just to be honest. If you're not playing Suarez, you're hoping that he has issues, and you're playing like a Jimmy Johnson or Ryan Newman, and just hoping Suarez has some issues. Maybe Jamie McMurray, Bowman, those guys. But you don't really have like a 1v1 great pivot off of Suarez because of where he's starting and how fast his car is this weekend. So they cheated up the wrong Joe Gibbs car. They really needed to cheat up the 11. As far as like David Reagan and Regan Smith, we do have some pivots off of those guys. Like I said, we have Ty, we have AJ Allmendinger, are some interesting pivots. Really, any of the cheaper guys are pivots off of those guys because if anything happens, like Regan Smith didn't show a ton of speed in practice either. So, pivoting off of him is not the worst thing. Like David Reagan on FanDuel, FanDuel is all about like, if we don't have that many issues, getting as many guys in the top 10 as we can. So David Reagan is a guy I would play on cash on FanDuel because you'll be able to play pretty much what you want once you play David Reagan at his price tag. But in tournaments, I'm probably going to not go too crazy. I don't see myself really playing like over 35% David Reagan in tournaments on FanDuel. I think that's a good number. You can mix it in with some Regan Smith. You can mix it in with Ty. You can mix it in with AJ Allmendinger. So I don't think you have to go too crazy on FanDuel, where on DraftKings, they're great floor plays. So that's really it. I don't really have much else. If you guys have any questions, fire them up in chat, and I'll answer some questions before I get out of here. I got to make all my lineups. I didn't touch lineups yet, besides building some cash lineups while they were doing tech. Does Chase Elliott or Boyer have any chance to get some Dominator points? Well, anybody can get Dominator points. Like, they can have fastest laps. So, if that's your question, yeah, I think that they could get some fastest laps. I don't necessarily think that they'll lead laps, but Boyer and Chase Elliott are guys that could get fastest laps. They're place differential plays. They're much more better. They're better place differential plays than anything else. So. Updated Dominator group. Yeah, I can do that. Let's see. Updated Dominator group. Harvick and Truex, my two favorites for Dominator points. I like Keselowski. Denny Hamlin would be in my Dominator group. I don't love him, but I would put him in my dominator group because if he's going to dominate, that's what you're going to need. Kyle Busch would be in my dominator group. Joey Logano's a fringe dominator play. Kyle Larson would be in my dominator group. This is all DraftKings, by the way. And then Kurt Busch, Eric Amarola, and Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney would be in the dominator group, but I'm not going to be playing a ton of those guys like I talked about in the Drive by Drive breakdown show. Nothing really changed with those guys. Ryan Blaney is still one of my least favorite plays on the slate. What is too crazy? 0% for Smith and Regan now? Regan and Smith are the same guy. I'm guessing you're talking about Reagan and Smith. You could go 0%. That's super contrarian. Not a strategy that I'm going to do. I like taking the floor when we get these free plays, and we kind of got these free plays, so not going to do that. Logano and Larson in my dominator group, yes. Hopefully the Gators. Hopefully the Gators. Let's go. When I X out the normal punts, yeah, not gonna play too many of those guys, to be honest. Timmy Hill, Timmy Hill, Castle, Gase are fades for me. I might have a couple teams with LaJoy and a couple teams with Earnhardt and a couple teams with Chastain and Matty Benedetto, but nothing crazy with those guys. I will set my dominator group to 2 to 3 this weekend. In tournaments, I want at least 2 dominators on every tournament team because I don't see a race unless Kevin Harvick completely dominates. But even if that happens, I still think there'll be a second dominator with fast laps because even when he's driving through traffic. Just so you guys remember, Kyle Busch started 32nd earlier this year at this racetrack and won. So it's not too crazy if he starts in the rear and drives to the front. The difference is this time he's not scored from that far back. He was scored from 32nd earlier this year. Would I play anyone under Reagan in cash? On which site? On either site, no. I would not play anybody under Reagan in cash on either site looking at the pricing. How low do I think Kyle Busch's ownership will be with him going to the rear under 20%? See, this is the tough thing. I've already got like 10 tweets about this, and people think that he's going to be scored from there. So it's tough to really guess what Kyle's ownership is going to be. If people are playing Kyle because they think he's going to be scored from back there, then he'll be 35, 40, 50% owned. If they're playing him not knowing that, with as sharp as people are right now, I think Kyle's still going to be like 25%. Kyle Busch is, yes, going to the rear, but he will be scored from 11th. One dominator cash lineup viable in your opinion on DraftKings? Yeah, you could build a very high floor one dominator team. You're just going to need Harvick to score a shitload of points if that's who it is. If it's Truex, whoever it is, whoever your dominator is, if you're going to play one dominator, you're really just going to need them to score a shitload of points. If they don't dominate, you're in big trouble with 400 laps and 300 potential dominator points. Fire up questions. I'm going to hang out for like a few more minutes, and then I got to go build my teams. Look, I did such a good job that I don't even have questions. I explained everything and answered everything so good that I don't even have questions. What's my guess on Hamlin's ownership on DraftKings? I'd say like 15 to 20%. He has really good history here. People will see that and they'll play him. Plus, if he beats Harvick off the start, which I don't think happens, it would be big time. How much is too much, David Reagan, Regan Smith? That's your own decision, man. They're really high floor plays, but anything can happen in NASCAR. So you got to make that decision. All right. So the official starting lineup is out, same as what we projected it to be. How risky is Kyle Busch and Cash now? Driving through the field makes him a little bit more risky. His projection didn't change much, to be honest. And like I said earlier this year, he started 32nd or 31st and won the race. So, I don't think I would play Kyle and Cash on DraftKings, but I could definitely see a lineup build with him on FanDuel. Never hate a Stuart Haas team lineup build. If Hamlin beats Harvick off the beginning, I'm gonna need a lot to drink. All right, I'll be hanging out in chat. I'll be around chat as much as I can here while I'm building lineups and try to answer if anybody has any more questions. But I'm gonna get out of here so I can make lineups. Hopefully, I have enough time with about 4 hours before lock. Um, Pulling up DraftKings really quick. See if they've updated it. I have so much on my computer right now that it's so slow from everything that's updated. Let's see. Did DraftKings update starting positions yet? Now that NASCAR updated them. Yep. So DraftKings has updated the starting spots. So you can see that Suarez, Regan Smith, David Reagan, all those guys scored from back. So, all right. On that note, like I said, I'll be hanging around chat as I build lineups, but I got to get going here and build some lineups. So let's crush it today. Good luck, everyone, and hopefully we're on the nuts.